Hello and welcome back to the channel. This video is going to be all about an anime that I finished not so recently, but just now got around to being able to record the episode, and that is A Sign of Affection. So about a month or two ago at this point, I really wanted to get back into watching anime since I haven't really had much time recently, and I wanted something just cute, slice of life that I didn't have to think too much about, and the plot was pretty simplistic. I kept getting bombarded, and even now I still get bombarded with Crunchyroll ads showcasing A Sign of Affection. And so I thought it was cute. I love different styles of shows that show off different types of languages because I really want to learn a bunch of languages. I'm just really bad at it. And sign language is in fact a language. And so I thought a show that is basically encapsulating the idea of a deaf girl who primarily seemed to talk through sign language, I thought it would be very interesting to see how the show took that and ran with it. So I finally started using my Crunchyroll subscription that I pay for and got my money's worth out of it by watching within a week the entirety of season 1. I thought it was pretty cute. I liked the character of Yuki. I do know that people had some issues with the show, and I don't think it's perfect, but I enjoyed it as it was. I watched it as a cute slice of life about a girl who gets through her life. She might struggle with not being able to hear people and communicate in the way others do, but she gets through it. She has friends, she has a support system, and she eventually even gets a boyfriend who it seems to be the main focus of the show. So many people thought that Yuki wasn't a great main character, but I thought it was fine. She was kind of this meek, timid girl, and I think that we do get pretty good character development from her, just not in the way people might have wanted. She is outgoing enough to have friends. She does have a childhood friend and a friend that she made in college, so we do see that she is able to communicate with those around her, at least in a way that friendship is still built. And I did see a huge amount of critiques on how she handles her crush, and I think that that's kind of a ridiculous critique. I think no matter the age, and especially it seems to be her first crush that we at least know of, I think it's perfectly fine for an adult woman to be a little weird about her first crush. She doesn't handle it with grace or whatever, but I think that that's still realistic. So I think that we have established enough that I liked Yuki as a character, and I like a lot of the other characters, but there's some that just kind of get on my nerves. And one of those is actually 𝕬𝕚𝕟, the main character who ends up being Yuki's crush and eventual boyfriend. Now, I don't think I dislike 𝕬𝕚𝕟 for the same reason that a lot of other people dislike him. I just didn't really care for his type of character. Some of it was superficial. His face design kind of freaked me out a bit. I don't really know what it is. But I did overall really care about his passion for learning languages and wanting to connect to Yuki, to where he started learning sign language, which I think is not super shocking since this man seems to want to know every single language on the planet. But this does make him special in the way that he is one of only 2 people that can sign to Yuki, him and her childhood friend. Now, Uishi, I do wish that we got more of him and maybe not as much of 𝕬𝕚𝕟. I feel like 𝕬𝕚𝕟 is kind of, I wouldn't say cold, but he seems to only warm up later on. Now, he's not a bad character, and he's not a bad person. I do like that he cares about Yuki enough to go ahead and learn sign language, but it also seems like since his passion seems to be learning languages, this falls right into his hobbies that he enjoys. The main thing that kind of turns me off from enjoying his character more is he doesn't really seem to be passionate about getting to know Yuki and her own hobbies, passions, and dreams until after they get together. It almost seems like an infatuation from his side, but we also don't really get his POV, so I'm propping it up to he might just be that kind of person. Not in a bad way, but just that's just his personality. He doesn't show emotions outwardly. So that's what I'm going with in my head for my own sake. But some things that he does do kind of puts it into perspective on how Yuki's life is different from those of us who can hear. Simple things like calling her out to come visit him at night leaves Oishi to find her and scold her because going out at night is already dangerous for women, but being able to grab Yuki without hearing them approach makes it even more dangerous for her. But I will say he does get a lot better after their relationship begins to kind of flourish and they spend more and more time together. I do gradually get to like him more. It's just he's still not my favorite character. And I can't exactly put a strict reason on why. I will say I think my least favorite character is probably Yuki's mom, for the sole reason of we barely get to see her, and what little we know about her is that she has never learned sign, even though her daughter was born deaf. I find that a bit odd. I get that they can still communicate, but why would you not learn sign for your child? I don't get that. I feel like that would have been super comforting as a little kid to know that, and she probably spoke sign, or did sign to communicate at her school, but her own mother does. I just don't like that. That just rubs me the wrong way. But I do find myself liking Uishi, the childhood best friend, a lot once the show really gets going. Now, I feel like he just fits the perfect mold of a character who is overlooked a lot, and we don't get a whole lot of their POV, we don't get their backstory, we don't get to see the inside workings of their brain, but I feel like it's very obvious to anyone watching. He clearly likes Yuki, and he clearly is harboring a crush. He's jealous of Itsumi. He's also worried about Yuki's safety, and he even says it, that he's worried that Itsumi is just with Yuki for kind of the thrill of dating a girl that can't hear. Now, we can see in the end that that is luckily not the case, but we can certainly see where a childhood friend that's a bit protective of Yuki can be worried about that. I do feel like I would love to see kind of a spin-off route to where they got together instead. Maybe Itsumi was never in the picture and it was like childhood friends to lovers type deal. But I feel like he's passionate enough to continue to study sign, and he constantly is checking up on her. I don't know. I like that. I also just like the childhood friends to lovers trope, so that could also be why I seem to be a bit more biased towards him. But I wanted to see more of him. I might even dive into the manga, which I haven't touched. So that might be a bit different. I don't know how strict the anime adaptation is to the manga, but I would really enjoy if that was like some kind of like spin-off different timeline. It probably won't, because that would be so weird, because the relationship is like he's not involved in it at all. But it was very much a character-driven show. I did like all the stuff that they got to do, and I did like how they depicted the main character being deaf as not a disability, but just as it definitely showed the ups and the downs of Yuki not being able to hear. She struggles to even pay for her groceries. If someone is masked, she can't read their lips. If like someone turns away from her, like it's really hard, stuff like that. And in the beginning, she didn't even want to speak, but she does eventually start to speak. So it did show that communication can be very difficult for her, and it put it in a realistic way, but it didn't make her seem like a victim. And I did really enjoy that, because I was a bit worried that it would make her seem like this weak little child, and I would have been very upset, and I wouldn't have finished it if it would have painted her in that light. So I do think that it did show her as a strong person. She was already going to college, she makes friends, she got a boyfriend, she has a social life, she gets a job, which she was very happy about. So I do think overall it was a very good anime, but it was just a bit underwhelming. I feel like they could have done a bit more with it. I do wish that we got some more character development from I count 3 of the main characters. But at the end of the day, I watched a cute slice of life anime, and I was very content with it. We got to see a couple stumble their way through the beginning stages of a relationship, and that, I think, is just all the takeaway you need. You don't always need an anime to be super deep and complex, but sometimes you just need it there to entertain you. And that's what I got. So that's all I have today, and I really did enjoy A Sign of Affection. So if you have watched it, leave your thoughts about what you thought of the story, the characters, all of that in the comments below. I would love to see other people's perspectives on it. And I think that's it for me for today. So thank you for everyone who watched. If you liked this, give me a thumbs up. And yeah, I hope to see you in a future video. Bye.